I'm Dennis Adu Jesse, and I've been with Kintampo Health Research Center since 2007, and malaria has been one of the key research that I have handled in Kintampo Health Research Center. The ultimate goal is to get to the point that malaria can be eliminated. Earlier on, we were dealing with the malaria control, but quite recently, Ghana has adopted the strategy to eliminate malaria. So now we are having the National Malaria Elimination Program. Over the period, I think I have contributed in a way that before you do any research, you may want to know whether it's a drug or whatever, its impact and effect on the malaria parasite in the people that are affected. So we say that you quantify, you estimate the density of the malaria burden in people. So in doing that, I actually contributed in one of the papers I did in helping to estimate malaria parasite densities, the methods that can be adopted and used appropriately in helping in that regard. Following up, then we had the malaria vaccine trial by GSK, the RTSS, and since in a 3-year trial using almost 16,000 children in 11 research centers across 7 African countries, WHO has come to accept the fact that the malaria vaccine is working and now it's rolled out for use in Ghana. It's being recommended by the WHO for use. And we are still in the phase 4, that is after its approval for use, seeing how best that can be that can contribute to eliminating malaria in a wider scale. And I know almost about more than 800,000 children in Ghana have been exposed to the vaccine, and it's found to be great. Recently, there has been an introduction of another one that the FDA is considering its approval, the R21. And I think that all these coming to add on will help and facilitate the elimination of malaria. I think one of the things we have also done, malaria treatment is taking over 3 days if you are using certain kind of drugs. But with Novartis, we had a trial that we are evaluating a single dose treatment where you take only one drug, one bullet, and malaria is done. And it was found to be very useful, and we are going to even have a larger scale of that trial around. Insecticide treatment that we all know about, the insecticide sprays, the bed net, and that we have contributed in assessing which one the vectors are not actually getting resistant to. That is the mosquitoes. If you are spraying your room, which insecticide do you have to use? We have helped in that regard in advising the Anglo Malaria Control Arm that have been doing insecticide indoor residual spraying in some parts of Ghana. So in a whole, I think that my contribution in the center and the research center towards control and now eliminating malaria has been enormous. And we will say that this requires money, grants, and for that matter, it's important that the government also channel some of the resources in that area to facilitate the works of researchers to make that a reality. Malaria can be eliminated, and if we all put our forces together, channel the necessary resources, we will be able to come to that state. We want to advise people that there are control measures, sleeping in the bed net, making sure we keep the environment clean, avoiding the keeping of containers that will collect stagnant water and bring up the breeding places. And of course, if there is a need, use the insecticide sprays where appropriate. And with all these put together, and the vaccine in place for children that are less than 5 months, I think that we will be able to get rid of this menace that have been plaguing society. Thank you.
My name is Love Ankra. I am medical laboratory technologist. I'm in this unit, which is parasology unit. Over here, what we do is detection of malaria parasites. That's parasites that causes malaria. For the past 11 years, I've been working here and we have engaged in a series of research activities regarding malaria drugs and malaria vaccines. One has to do with the RTSS vaccine that was conducted, which is about to be rolled into the mainstream of the vaccine that we have for our kids. It's been good, it's been nice actually working in this field, helping to ensure that we have good drugs and then good vaccine to help keep this malaria menace that we have in our system. Because when we talk about sub-Saharan, malaria is one of the challenges that we face. So I've been very keen in this activity, ensuring that our diagnosis is perfect, done, and also ensure that the result that we turn out happen to be a good one for clinical management and also for the study that we do in regards to malaria vaccine and malaria drug. It has not been easy because you have to ensure that everything is on point in terms of your diagnostics. You have to ensure that the colleagues that you are working with, they are always up to the task. You've been able to ensure that things are done perfectly. So as we celebrate our Malaria Day, a little advice that I would like to give is, yes, we have to more or less pay more attention to malaria is still with us. We have to pay more attention to it, invest more in drug study, vaccine study, and also have more refresher trainings for lab technologists in order to have themselves abreast with new trends of diagnostics.
Welcome to the Data Science Unit. I'm Elisha Adedeji, a Senior Data Manager. So this department, we play a significant role when it comes to malaria and research in its entirety. So what basically we do is we process all the research data that this institution undertakes, and as a unit or as a department, we play this integral role by processing all the data, making sure that at the end of the day, the data that is churned out has integrity. Now, we have various points of collection of data in the field, in the health facilities or hospitals, and when all these data is collected, it's either through a tablet or on a paper. All these comes to this department for processing. Those ones that we collect using paper, we enter them onto entry screens, either remotely or locally, and those ones that we use tablets, they collect this information from the various facilities, then it comes onto our servers. Now when these data come, or these forms come, they are uniquely identified, and we have a barcoding system which we use to track all these forms that come in. These forms are entered, and usually we enter them because we have to do follow-ups for them. Those ones that we collect and enter remotely, it goes directly onto the servers of the sponsor. Again, this is critical data for which information will be used to determine whether a vaccine works or a drug works. So we pay critical attention to the data. We do what we call source data verification, and these are usually at different levels. the data is looked at by the supervisors from what entry A and entry B enters. They compare these two. Again, this is in order to ensure data integrity. The data manager also takes a critical look at this data. Now, we do this because at the end of the day, decision will be made as to whether a vaccine works or a drug works. And our role we play is so critical in determining this. So we make sure that all data that determine endpoints, we pay critical attention to that data. Now, once we do this, we enter them onto our servers. Our servers are secure. They are password protected and have different access levels. So not just anyone can access any kind of data. They are also protected from intrusion. So we have a firewall that protects this data from intrusion from outsiders. Now, these servers run on solar batteries, and also subsequently we have a generator system where if the solar fails us, then the generator kicks in. Now, all this is to ensure that we have a 24-hour system of keeping the servers on so that it can be reached at any point in time to receive data. Now, one may want to know, so what happens to this sensitive data that we collect? We protect this data and protect the persons whose data we have collected. So participant identifiable informations are always de-identified, even when being shared with the sponsor, so that it is not traced to any particular person. Now, in all of our processes, we have guidelines, we have SOPs, standard operating procedures, that guides us in the way we operate. Usually we have what we call completion guideline, which we also follow. We also follow the protocol in our operations, and all these is to churn out data that has integrity, and usually that is our main aim. We also have a biostatistics unit which analyzes the data on our behalf. So depending on the endpoints or the objectives of the protocol, they are able to analyze the data, and at the end of the day, we are able to interpret the data. Over the years, we've undertaken several malaria studies for which we are celebrating this day. And as a department, we've played key roles over the years in determining this, and that is through the management of the data that has been collected over the years. And we are excited about this, to be a part of this particular day and to be a part of a system that will finally eradicate malaria, even as it is the vision of players in the industry.